Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Green Monk series. This is part 2. What are we calling it? Betrayal of Life. Something on those lines. This is Joshua Young with Accessory to Thought. Your catalyst to deeper thinking. As the first time we've mentioned our wee catchphrase that's been in our descriptions the entire time. Your catalyst to deeper thinking. Wasn't that great? Let's think deeper together with Green Monk. Here we go. We left off last time with this depiction. You're looking up at the Blessed Virgin Mary holding Christ. And now we're here. So it's a new morning. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for Alexei, and he must be feeling really good right now. Okay, that's enough of that. The fun is over. Right, fun is over. Officially. Fun is over. Bit of Michael Bublé for you. Okay. If you wanted the fun to return, leave the video. No more fun. So, continuing on. We see this picture. They're loading up this donkey. They're going to leave the monastery. This is probably the first time Alexei has left the monastery. They're going to the more populated areas where the normal people are. Okay. And he's loving life. He's happy. Look at that smile. But something catches his eye. I have to pick an accent for this guy. Forgive me, Australians. Hold him tight till I give the word. What are you waiting for? Your stick to grow longer? I'm ready. Let it go. Whoopsh. They let the steer loose. Got me here. Get him, come on. Ha! He hits the steer. 2 hits. Beat that. That's nothing. Alexei enters the scene. I can get him in 1. Ha ha ha! What a liar. I'm losing the accent here. Maybe, but if I'm wrong, I'll give you this. Money. Fine. Throw your money away. Give me that. You ready? And Alexei has his attempt. He's trying to hit this deer over. Yeah, you missed. He misses. He hits off the rock. And he starts attacking this questionably Australian accented man. Or young adolescent. They're all teens. And that doesn't work out well for him. He gets beat up. Deer runs off. He's all beat up and bloodied. Enter the monk. Come here. Come with me. So he follows. Many years ago, when our brotherhood was still young, the Teutonic Knights were raiding in this land. They took land and wealth for themselves and spared the lives of those who accepted the Roman baptism. But they had no such mercy for the monastic orders. As they approached the walls of Andronikov, the brethren grew anxious. Some decided to run, and some took up arms. But those whose souls were most pure put their fate in the hands of God. Those that ran were caught first, and then those that fought back. And the last of them as they praised God. When the knights saw the piety of the holy men, they knew that they had sinned. They dropped their weapons where they stood and joined themselves to the order. And so, the foundations of this monastery were built upon the blood of the martyrs. Roll credits. Green Monk, Blood of Martyrs. These stones mark their graves. They are a reminder of the sacrifices that came before us, of those that came before us, and of the sacred vows we make when we join the Brotherhood. Whether we fight or run, death will find us all. The only choice we have is how we will live, and how we die. So it's now night time, and he goes to bed, he goes to sleep. And that's where we're going to end this chunk, because any more is too much, because he's got a crazy dream. Spoilers. Not really, but anyway, let's go back. Let's start the symbolic interpretation. Let's go. Right. So, he's leaving his home for the first time. He's an adolescent. That's what adolescents do. They wander from where they were born. They go out on an adventure. They push the rules. Okay. This whole story, if I go to here, is that shown? Yep. This whole story can be summed up with this action here. Okay. There we go. Now, why is that? Well, let's just continue on for a wee bit. So, he goes off as an adolescent. He's leaving. He's going out of his home. And he's finding this sort of dark, dirty area full of other teenagers, adolescents who are up to no good, and they're sort of torturing this poor deer here. They've captured it, and now they're sort of playing with it maliciously for their own gain. And Alexei, he's engaged in this. He's like, pride brings him in. He's like, I can get him in one. Hand it here. And so he feels. And anger overtakes him, and he starts beating this guy up. But realistically, he's the one that's getting beat up here. And the young deer runs away. And I think it's good to imagine that this is the same young deer in this picture. Okay, imagine in this image from part 1, they find a balance of that order and chaos. The man had too much order, the child too much chaos. There's a compromise, and yeah, he was brought up in the tradition. Yet this man has now been able to appreciate the simple things in life. So they invited in this life. Okay, but now the circumstances that Alexei has brought about, you know, the deers ran away. Why is that? Think about it. And well, at his lowest point, he's battered and bruised at his lowest point. The sun is going down, right? This young deer running away is sort of the same as the sun's setting. It's like God is no longer shining on Alexei. He feels like he's distant. Okay, but out of this darkness, this monk shows up, and he follows him, tells him a story of these nights, and it many ways, the knight's story is the same as Alex's story. So these were Teutonic Knights. So these were like to do with like Crusader kind of things for like Catholic. I'm not very knowledgeable on them, but you can imagine like it started like as a good idea, but it turned just sour, turned nasty. Okay. But there was some mysterious trick that happened, some mysterious trick that these knights, they repented. They were so down, they realised, oh, I've messed up, and they repented. And then they were able to further, they actually joined to this monastic tradition, as it says, and they're now tied to it. But they wouldn't have been tied to it necessarily unless they went through this horrific slaughter, unfortunately. But that's the mystery. And afterwards, Alex, he seems to be more committed. He's taking it seriously now. I went through that quite fast. Now, if I go more specifically, if you imagine it like the staff in the middle. Imagine that's the monastery. Okay, that's home. It's the place of origin. The snake revolves around the origin, and he's like on the going out path. Imagine the snake. It's like a going out and a coming in, going out and a coming back. Okay, and that's sort of what you do in adolescence. You leave home. You leave what your traditions are. You leave your values. You're like, screw it. Why should that hold me back? Why should I, rebellious teens? It's almost a joke. It's a cliche, a rebellious teen, but it's true. They leave, and they have to leave because they need to be their own person. They can't just be. They need to experience the world, so they leave. And why would you leave? If you imagine it like, why are these guys leaving? They're leaving to get some offerings from the people. Okay, you can leave your home to get more power, in a sense. It's like, imagine if you're taking over. You're a military person, a military king, and you're going to take over. You want to have more reach, more power, take more lands. Okay, well, you have to leave your lands, take the lands, and yes, your kingdom will be a lot bigger, but those lands are not as tied to the center. It's the same way as that you get these massive, in ancient times, you get these massive civilizations of Rome, of the Mongols, of Alexander the Great. But it gets so big, and the English Empire, it gets so big it's almost unmanageable. And if it goes slightly wrong, you can't have that much control over people. So that's, and that's can be good or it can be bad. I've got a few wee bullet points here to keep me on track. But you can also, if you imagine like it's, you can leave your home to give blessings as well. If you imagine it as Moses, when he climbed up the mountain and he communed with God, he didn't stay up there, and he shouldn't have stayed up there. And so why should you leave the presence of God after being in it? Should there not be a rule of thumb as you stay in the presence of God? So, well, hang on a minute, it's not just about you. He went down to give the teaching to the people. Okay, so that's another good way of leaving. Let's see. But yeah, so those are quite good examples. But a bad example, not a bad example, but like a negative example would be you can go out too far and you can forget the center. Okay. You can say you're a uni student, right? You leave home. You say you're not living with your parents. You leave home, and there's a temptation to like go out and get drunk, like blackout drunk, crazy drunk, drunker than you should be ever, drunker than you have an excuse to be. And say you do that. Yeah, I've got friends. That's what they did, and you know they've reached the point where it's like, you know what? Maybe my parents won't be. No one thinks my parents are gonna be proud of me getting blackout drunk, or else they're. I would hope they wouldn't think that, but yeah, they forget their upbringing, they forget their center, their place of origin, and they fall. Right, that's what Alexei did. He went too far. Right, he went too far where the origin was forgotten. Right, they're now in like they're in the territory that he should not have really went in, and he's given into that. He's given into anger, right? And only afterwards he's realized that what he's done. It's like sin looks nice, it looks sweet, but it will always bring bitterness and death. And you know, that's just is just a typical story of adolescence, I suppose. Alright, so I'm gonna cut in here to do a wee drawing, just to illustrate it. A wee bit better for you. So you imagine if this is working. Bam, right. So if you imagine you've got this stuff. What's it? It's oscillating. It's going back and forth, right? But sometimes you can stray so far out, right? There isn't as much as a connection to the center. So that's what the story is about. But what is this thing about falling to sin? Why is that? What's that about? Is imagine if you've went so far out from your home mountain, the holy mountain of God, right? That's your home. You leave so far. You go so far that you actually, oh, what's this? It's another mountain. What's that? And you get so close and you can see, oh well, this I can see how that points to that and that points to that, and you see it looks good, right? It's similar to this. It looks good, but the top is a dead end. If that makes sense, the top does not point to something that's higher to it. It sees itself as the highest thing, which is a contradiction to this, you know. Every aspect is pointing to let's do we draw on here. Every aspect of that mountain. Oh goodness. If you go here, he'll say, no, I'm not the guy. Go to this guy. He says, oh no, go to this guy. Right? And it's not prideful. But here, they get to here, and that's what a demon is. It's something that doesn't point to the highest thing, and it becomes a stumbling block. You see it as it's tempting. It can give you something. It can give you something in return. Right? If only you submit to it. You know, that's what these like foreign principalities are. Some are more subtle than others, I suppose, you know. Like it's good to take care of. it's good to be with your friends. You know, it's good to have friends. But if, say, your friends aren't, if you hold your friends too highly, you know, life is not about your friends. Although it's good, as long as they point to something higher, then they can become a foreign principality that is like an antichrist in nature, because it has an element that's good, but at the top it's a trick. It doesn't point to anything higher. It sees itself as highest, and that's what Galaxy falls for. That's why we find these things tempting, because they have something to offer us, and then it just gets darker and darker. You know, a man looks at lusts for a woman. It begins in goodness, but it becomes bitter. There's a difference between appreciating beauty and over consuming it, as saying as that's in place of the whole. They see what the person looks like, but they don't see the person. That's like a foreign principality you can fall under. So I'm going to cut in again, do another drawing. I can explain it further. So imagine you've got a mountain, and it's not like, so you have the many multiplicities down here, okay, and then you've got the one principle up here, okay, and that's how mountains. That is how a mountain is made up. There's more substance at the bottom, and there's less mountain as you go up. Is this being shown? Yes. There's less mountain the further you go up the mountain. So what does that mean? It gets more heavenly the further you go up. It's less. The mountain is more a principle than it is as when you get further up the top. It's like the point of a mountain, right? The point. You can't hold the point. It's not physical. It's purely in the category of meaning. The top of the mountain, right? And if you're like, oh well, that's this part of the material is the top of the mountain. You put it in your pocket, you go downstairs. It's no longer the top of the mountain. It's not made up by physicality, but it's supported by it. And you need all this physicality to support the point. Now, if I get rid of all this, now, it's not necessarily bad or good to be in any part of this mountain, right? You can say if this is like the Father is up here, people think, oh, God's in the clouds, that kind of way of thinking about it. You can think about it like that, and you think, and it's not wrong to think about it like that. He is the source. He is the one that it gives direction to the body. But it's not to say that the body's bad, because the body's required. It's an act of love, the union between the principle and the action, or the embodied principle. You know, but they're both needed, and that's kind of what love is. It's the unity within multiplicity. It's not. No, it's not only up here. I'll forsake you down there. It's allowing people to the multiplicities to be united under one thing, without destroying either. Now what you've outlined, it's not good or bad to be in any particular part. You can be here, you can be here, you can be up here. The sin lies within. Say you start up here and you go down, which isn't bad in itself, and you look at this point and you start to obsess over that, right? You lose sight of all of this. It's all about this, right? You lose sight, you forget, you forget what it's pointing to. You forget the proper order of things, and it gets messy. Okay, that's what it means to. If you imagine a person, if someone lusts for a person, right? They're looking at the body, the lower thing. Okay, they're not concerned about the head. So you imagine it similarly in the mountain. They forgot what the body supports. Yes, the body is supposed to be, if you're going up the mountain, you're met by the body of the mountain. That's how you do it. Okay? You see a woman and then you talk to her. You don't talk to her, then you see her. That sounds stupid. Okay? But if you see her and that's all you want to do, or you see her and that's you want to devour, okay, sexually, that's all you see, you're negating the personhood. You're negating love, so to speak. You're negating the way this is a person, right? The union between the place where heaven and earth meets. That's what a person is. And you're only taking one part of that. That's what it means to sort of. That's what turns this angel into a demon. I'm pretty sure Thomas Aquinas, the theologian, talks about some question, like, are all these pagans, are they doomed to? Are they worshipping devils or demons? And he said it's not as simple as that. In most cases, yes, but in some cases they may be worshipping angels, and an angel would point to something higher. That's what that sort of means. An angel points to God. When an angel appears, people bow down and worship it. They say, no. I am not the person. They point to this. They point upwards. But a demon is like, yeah. It's prideful. They don't want to point to anything up higher. But anyway, that's enough speaking. Yeah, and what do we do when we go too far? Well, we turn back. Once we realize, oh, I should go back. Like Alex say, he's head to the ground. He realizes what he's done is not very good. Right? He's not happy about it. And what do we do when we go too far? We go back home. We pray when things aren't going well. If you were to pray, you'd pray. If you don't usually pray, you may even still pray when things aren't going too well. Why is that? It's like a remembering of the center. It's like you're on the turning point of this snake. You're going back. Okay. Right? And you think, why is that necessary? Well, it's a strange mystery, isn't it? But it's also true that when on the return journey back, after forgetting the center, okay, after repenting, you're better. You're more tied to the center. You realize, say I had a friend who they got really drunk one time, and they felt awful after. And now they said to me, "I'm not doing that again." And he's gonna be less likely to delve as deep in such things. But he had to go through that process to be like that. If someone said to you, "Oh, don't do this," you're like, "Aye, sure, I'll do what I want," right? But like if you experience it firsthand, and that's the same as these nights, They now, through this horrific death, they repent and they join into the, the people. What does it say? When the knights saw the piety of the holy men, they knew that they had sinned. They dropped their weapons and were stood and joined themselves to the order. You just need to think about these things, Let's see. Yeah, and in this process, it's like in adolescence. This is his whole story of adolescence here. He's lost his innocence. He's no longer this pure child. He's been corrupted by sin. He's on this. He's on this. He's on this path that he's regretted. But again, there's a mysterious thing about that, because that's not all bad. Well, it's the same with why do bad things happen? Not even just why do bad things happen to good people. Why do bad things happen at all? It's like you can't give an answer that you can just be convinced of in words. You have to see it. You only realize why something happened necessarily, that you didn't get into this thing. You didn't get this job. You went through a period of loneliness. You went through a period of death of a family member. But maybe after it's all said and done, who's to say that are you grateful for the things that happened in your life? And again, it's not the kind of thing that you can say that to someone, because there's something about, there's like a prideful aspect to that if you're not careful. You say, oh well, just try harder. You say, well, who do you think you are? You don't know my struggles. And they're right. They're right. But yet again, it's, to shake your fist at God is not the right answer. You have a humility and have wisdom in these things, but it's like there's a story of, there's some farmer and his son. He fell off his horse, broke his leg, and everyone's saying, oh, isn't this awful? He says, maybe. And then the army comes and they want to draft people, but because he broke his leg, he didn't get drafted in the army and killed in war. People, isn't that great? People say, oh, isn't that great? And I say, maybe, And then the horse runs away and says, oh, isn't this awful? And he says, maybe. And then the horse comes back with a whole herd of horses that he now owns, and people say, isn't this great? He says, maybe. Then the story is that maybe we shouldn't be living life as a set of, we know what we're doing at any stage of the way. Who are you to say you know what you're doing? We don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds. Who are we to be so sure of ourselves? The Bible says we are not to say we are go to this place and do business and make money. We're to say if God wills it. That's what we are supposed to say. But yeah, I even, I'm probably wrapping up soon, but I actually painted this with the whole, flip. Let's go back. This image through a strange trick There's also this image. And we need to think about these things. And maybe that's all I should say. Maybe that's all I should say. But anyway, that's is good. Hopefully you find that useful. Anyway, but if you want, please get the book, Blood of Martyrs, or Green Monk, Blood of Martyrs. Link should be in the description. It's like an Amazon affiliate link. Maybe I'll get money from that. No idea. No. But might as well give it a shot. But anyway, I'll see you next time. See you next time.